Rain was falling hard that night, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. The street outside was empty, lit only by the pale yellow glow of a flickering street lamp. Inside, Alex sat at his small desk, typing on his laptop, a half-empty mug of coffee by his side. It was the kind of night when nothing usually happened, and that was exactly what Alex expected. Quiet, uneventful, boring. But then came the knock, not a normal knock, not the kind you hear from delivery drivers or neighbors. This was a sharp knock-knock. Knock-knock, 2 knocks, a pause, then 2 more. Alex froze. It was late, past midnight. Who could be at his door now? For a moment, he thought maybe it was the wind, but no, there it was again. The same strange pattern. Alex stood up slowly, his heart starting to beat faster. He walked to the door and peered through the peephole. 2 figures stood there. They were small, maybe teenagers, both wearing long dark coats with hoods pulled up. Even in the dim light, something about them looked wrong. Their skin was pale, almost glowing, and their eyes silver, like melted metal, stared straight ahead. They didn't look cold, wet, or even bothered by the rain. They just stood, perfectly still, waiting. Alex hesitated. He considered not opening the door at all, but something deep inside told him he had to. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe something else. He unlocked the door, pulled it open just a little and said, "Can I help you?" The 2 looked at him in unison. Their voices came together, perfectly in sync. "We need your help." Now Alex blinked, unsure if he had heard them right. "You..." "What?" he asked, but they didn't answer. Instead, they stepped forward, moving past him as if the door was theirs to walk through. Alex turned quickly, startled. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" The taller one, a boy, pushed back his hood. His face was sharp, his hair a strange shade of white. Not old white, but silver white. The other, a girl, did the same, revealing the same features. The same eyes, the same strange hair. They were identical twins. Alex stared. "Who are you?" he asked again. The girl spoke this time, her voice calm, almost too calm. "My name is Lyra. This is my brother Cale. We are not from here." Alex let out a short laugh, trying to hide his unease. "Not from here? You mean not from this neighborhood?" "Or," Cale interrupted, "not from this planet." For a moment, Alex thought they were joking, teenagers pulling some weird prank, maybe recording a video. But then Lyra reached into her coat and pulled out a small metal object, a cube the size of a fist. It hummed softly, glowing from inside. In the glow, Alex saw shifting shapes, maps, symbols, and what looked like Earth. But it wasn't the Earth he knew. Red patches covered the continents, spreading slowly like blood in water. Alex felt his chest tighten. "What is this?" Lyra looked at him with those silver eyes. "It is what will happen to your world soon." Alex stepped back, shaking his head. "Okay, I don't know what game this is, but you need to leave." Cale's voice grew sharper. "There is no time for you to doubt. They will be here before the night ends." "They?" Alex asked, but neither of them answered. They just stood there, watching him. The cube in Lyra's hand pulsed brighter, and the lights in Alex's house flickered. The fridge in the kitchen clicked off. His laptop screen went black. Outside, the rain slowed for just a moment, and Alex swore the clouds above were moving in a strange spiral. His skin prickled. "This is impossible," he whispered. But deep down, something in him knew this was not a joke. He could feel the air growing heavier, as if a storm was pressing down on his house. Then, far away, he heard a low rumble, not thunder, but something deeper, mechanical. The twins looked at each other. "They found us," Cale said. Alex's stomach dropped. "Found you?" Lyra nodded. "And now they will find you too." The sound outside grew louder, closer. Alex's mind raced. Who were these 2? Why had they come to him, and what was coming after them? He didn't have answers, but one thing was certain. The quiet, boring night he had been expecting was gone. And whatever had just walked through his door was about to change everything. The warning, the sound outside grew heavier, like giant footsteps in the distance. Alex stood frozen in his living room, the silver-eyed twins watching him with calm, unblinking stares. "What is going on?" he demanded, his voice sharper now. "Who's after you? What is all this?" Lyra tilted her head slightly, as if listening to something far away. "They are called the Hunters," she said, her tone low and even. "They search for us across the stars, and they do not stop until they find what they want." Alex shook his head, running a hand through his hair. "Okay, slow down. This is insane. Hunters? Stars? Are you saying you're aliens?" Cale's gaze didn't waver. "We are not saying it," he replied. "We are telling you." It should have sounded ridiculous, but the way they spoke, the way they looked at him, it didn't feel like a lie. Still, Alex needed more than words. "Why are you here?" "Why me? I've never even seen you before tonight." Lyra took a slow step forward, the glowing cube still in her hand. "You were chosen a long time ago," she said. "Your name, your location, your blood. It was all recorded in our archives." Alex let out a nervous laugh. "My blood? What, are you saying you've been spying on me?" Cale's expression remained unreadable. "We have not been spying, we have been preparing." Alex was about to argue when the cube's glow flared. Images swirled inside it. Oceans boiling, cities burning, skies filled with black shapes, the earth covered in dark spreading patterns like veins. "This," Lyra said quietly, "is your future if we fail." Alex stepped back, his stomach twisting. "Is this supposed to scare me?" "Because it's working," he muttered. "It is not fear you should feel," Cale said. "It is urgency." Outside, the rumble grew louder, the windows rattling in their frames. Alex's heart began to pound harder. "What's out there?" he asked, his voice dropping. Lyra didn't answer right away. Instead, she placed the cube gently on Alex's coffee table. Its surface shimmered, and then a thin beam of light projected upward, a floating map of his neighborhood, glowing. Dots moved through the streets, slowly closing in on his house. "There are 3 of them," Lyra said, pointing at the moving lights. "They can smell our trail, and they are almost here." Alex stared at the map, his throat dry. "How can you even—" Cale cut him off. "There is no time for more questions. We came here because you have something that belongs to us, something you don't know you have." Alex blinked in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "I don't have anything of yours." "Yes," Lyra said softly, "you do." Before Alex could ask what she meant, the lights on the map stopped moving. They had reached the edge of his street. The twins exchanged a quick look, and Cale's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're here." Alex turned toward the window. Through the rain and darkness, faint red glows appeared, moving slowly between the trees. They weren't headlights, they were too low to the ground, and too alive. Shapes began to form, tall, insect-like creatures, their bodies wrapped in dark metal, legs bending at strange angles. Each had a single red sensor where its face should be. Scanning back and forth, the glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Alex's breath caught in his throat. What are they?" Lyra's eyes didn't leave the window. "They are hunters. If they touch you, they will know everything about you. And if they know everything about me?" Alex asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. "Then they will take you," Cale said flatly, "and you will not return." The first hunter stepped into the faint light of the street lamp. Its long blade-like arms scraped against the wet pavement, sending shivers down Alex's spine. The second and third appeared behind it, their red sensors sweeping the houses. One of them paused, turning its gaze directly toward Alex's window. The cube on the table began to hum louder, almost vibrating. Lyra turned to Alex. "We can still leave before they breach this place," she said. "But once they are inside, we cannot take you." "Take me where?" Alex demanded, panic rising in his chest. He didn't even realize he was backing away from the window. Every instinct told him to run, to hide, but something about the twins' calm made him pause. Cale's eyes met his. "If you come with us, you will live." He glanced toward the window again. "If you stay, you will not." The sound outside changed, no longer distant. It was now sharp. Claws on stone, scraping metal on wood. Alex realized they were moving up his driveway. Every second felt heavier than the last. He looked from Cale to Lyra, two strangers who weren't human, who spoke of hunters and futures he couldn't understand. But outside, in the dark, something inhuman was coming, and for reasons he couldn't explain. Alex knew they were telling the truth. Lyra extended her hand. "You must decide now," she said, her silver eyes catching the faint light from the cube. Outside, a sudden, sharp clang echoed against the front door. The hunters had arrived. Proof. The clang against the front door echoed like a gunshot in the small house. Alex flinched, his pulse hammering in his ears. The rain outside had slowed, but now every drop sounded like it was falling in slow motion. The air inside felt heavy, almost thick, as if the house itself was holding its breath. The twins didn't move. Lyra's silver eyes were fixed on the door. Cale was listening, his head tilted just slightly. "They are testing the structure," Cale said calmly. "They do not need to break it. They only need to weaken it." Alex's voice shook. "What are they? Machines? Animals?" "They are both," Lyra replied. "And neither." Another sound, softer this time, like claws tracing along the wall outside. The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely. Darkness swallowed the room, leaving only the faint glow from the cube on the table. Its light was different now, not steady, but pulsing, faster and faster. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the floorboards. Alex took a step back. "What's it doing?" he whispered. Lyra finally moved, lifting the cube from the table. "It is reacting to them," she said. "It knows they are near, and it is preparing." "Preparing for what?" Cale answered for her. "For proof." Before Alex could ask, Lyra tossed the cube into the air. It didn't fall. Instead, it hovered between them, spinning slowly. Thin beams of light shot out, scattering across the walls like spiderwebs of blue fire. Symbols flickered in the air, shifting languages Alex couldn't read. Then, without warning, the cube flared so bright that Alex shielded his eyes. When he looked again, the room around him was different. The walls seemed to stretch farther than they should. The floor under his feet shimmered faintly. The air carried a strange metallic taste. It was his living room, and yet it wasn't. What is this?" he asked, his voice small. Lyra turned toward him. "This is a breach, a small tear between where you stand and where we come from." Alex's skin prickled. "You mean another planet? Another dimension?" "Yes," Cale said simply. "And if you need proof we speak the truth, step forward." Alex stared at the glowing edge of the tear. It was like looking at water, but vertical. Colors shifted inside, its shapes moving in slow waves. Somewhere far away, he heard a faint hum, like distant music, and underneath it, voices whispering. It sent a chill through his spine before he could move. A sudden crash shook the house. Something heavy slammed against the front door, hard enough to crack the wood. This time, the hunters didn't wait. A second slam followed immediately. The doorframe groaned. Cale's voice stayed calm. "They will breach in less than 30 seconds. Lyra looked at Alex, her tone sharp now. "You wanted proof. Now you have it. You must decide whether to walk through that breach, or let them take you." Alex's breathing was fast and shallow. His mind screamed this isn't real, but his senses told him it was. Every sound, every vibration. The cold air. It was too real to be a dream. Another crash at the door. This time, a long, blade-like arm punched through the wood. Metal claws scraped against the inside wall, searching blindly. The red glow of a hunter's sensor shone through the hole, scanning the room. It froze for a second when it found Alex. "They've marked you," Cale said, his voice low. "If they touch you now, they will know everything. Your thoughts, your past, your future." Alex's chest tightened. What happens if they do? You stop being you, Lyra answered. You become theirs. The cube pulsed faster, the light inside the breach flickering urgently. The whispers grew louder, almost calling his name. Another crash. The door hinges tore loose, wood splintering. The first hunter began forcing its way in. Its black metal limbs bent and twisted unnaturally as it crawled through the frame. Behind it, the second hunter's red eye burned brighter. "Alex," Cale said firmly. "Now." The breach shimmered brighter, opening wider. Alex's instincts told him stepping through would mean leaving everything he knew behind. But staying meant letting those things, those hunters, touch him. He looked once at the door. The hunter's head turned toward him, and for the first time, Alex heard it make a sound. A deep, low clicking, like metal teeth grinding together. He didn't think anymore. He ran toward the breach. Lyra and Cale followed, their movements impossibly fast. The moment Alex's foot crossed the shimmering edge, the world exploded into light, and the sound of the hunters faded into silence. The light from the breach faded. Alex stumbled forward, his feet hitting solid ground again. But it wasn't his living room anymore. The air here was sharp and cold, carrying a faint metallic scent. He blinked, his eyes adjusting. They were standing on a narrow platform, suspended high above a vast, glowing city. Buildings weren't made of stone or metal. They were shaped from shimmering crystal, rising like jagged mountains. Bridges of light stretched between them, thin and delicate. Far below, streams of glowing vehicles moved silently through the air. Alex froze, his mouth hanging open. This isn't real," he whispered. "It's real," Lyra said, her voice firm. "And it's not safe." As if on cue, a loud metallic clang echoed behind them. Alex turned, and his stomach dropped. The breach was still open. Through its shimmering surface, he saw his own living room, and pushing through it was a hunter, its black metal limbs twisted unnaturally to fit through the tier. Sparks hissed where its armor scraped against the breach's edges. The red glow of its sensor locked on Alex instantly. Its body unfolded, legs clicking into place as it stepped onto the platform. Cale grabbed Alex's arm. "Move!" he shouted. They ran, boots pounding against the glassy surface. The platform ahead curved downward into a glowing bridge. Alex's legs burned, his breath ragged. Behind them, the hunter's footsteps were faster. Its sharp limbs clanged against the crystal path, sending high-pitched vibrations into the air. "Where are we going?" Alex yelled. "Off this level before more come through." Lyra answered without looking back. The bridge ahead split into two paths, one rising upward toward a tower, the other spiraling downward. Cale pulled them toward the downward path. Alex glanced over his shoulder. Bad idea. The hunter was gaining, its long legs eating up the distance. It moved wrong, like a spider learning to sprint. And it was faster than anything human, halfway down the spiral. The second hunter emerged from the breach. It didn't chase directly. Instead it leapt, landing on the outer wall of the tower. Its claws dug deep into the crystal as it began skittering sideways toward them. The scraping sound made Alex's skin crawl. Lyra pulled a small disc from her coat and slammed it against the railing. It unfolded into a floating sphere of light. "Keep running," she ordered. The sphere pulsed, then fired a burst of blinding energy back toward the path. The first hunter reeled, its sensor dimming for a second. But it didn't stop. "Your toys aren't slowing them much," Alex shouted. "They're not meant to," Lyra said sharply. "They're meant to mark them." "What does that mean?" Alex demanded. Cale didn't answer. Instead, he yanked Alex down another narrow side path. They burst out onto a platform hanging over empty air. Far below, Alex saw a churning cloud of dark shapes. Ships, maybe, or something alive. A loud metallic shriek cut through the air. The first hunter had reached the platform entrance. The second was now crawling along the ceiling above them, its limbs piercing through the crystal like it was paper. Cale pulled something from his belt, a thin rod that extended into a long staff with a soft hum. He planted it into the platform floor. The crystal beneath them lit up in a wide circle. "Stand in the center." Cale barked. Alex didn't hesitate. He moved into the glowing circle with Lyra. The hunters rushed forward, but just before they reached this circle, a shockwave burst outward. The crystal platform rippled like water, and both hunters were thrown back violently, skidding across the surface. Alex stared. What was that? Cale pulled the staff free. A lockdown pulse. It will hold them for 20 seconds. And then what? Alex asked, panic creeping back into his voice. Then we run again, Lyra said, already moving toward a thin bridge leading deeper into the city. They sprinted, the sound of distant alarms now echoing through the air. The glowing vehicles below began to shift direction, rising toward the higher levels. Something told Alex they weren't coming to help. The twins kept running without looking back. Alex followed, his chest aching, his mind racing. In the space of a few minutes, his life had gone from quiet rain and coffee to running across alien bridges while mechanical predators chased him. He didn't know where they were going. He didn't know if they could outrun the hunters. But one thing was certain, whatever this was, it was far from over. Another world. The running slowed. For the first time since Alex had stepped through the breach, there was no sound of metal claws scraping behind him, no heavy footsteps chasing, only the distant hum of the alien city. They crossed a final bridge and stepped into a wide, open platform. Here, the air was warmer, carrying a faint scent like rain on stone. Above them, two suns hung in the sky, one gold, one pale blue, their light mixed together, painting the crystal towers in strange shifting colors. Alex stopped, staring at everything. From here, he could see the city stretching far into the horizon. It wasn't like human cities, with blocks and grids. This place grew upward and outward like living coral, some towers bent and twisted in impossible shapes. Thin ribbons of light floated in the air between them, carrying people, or things. He couldn't quite make out. Lyra noticed him staring. "This is Arcanus," she said softly. "Our home." Alex turned to her, still catching his breath. "It's beautiful," he admitted. And it was. It was the kind of place you would expect in a dream. But dreams didn't have hunters trying to tear you apart. Cale's voice pulled him back. "Beauty will not protect it," he said, his eyes scanning the distant skyline. "The devourers will come here, just as they will come for your world." Alex frowned. "You've said that name before. The devourers, who are they?" Lyra glanced at Cale, then back at Alex. "They are not a who," she said. "They are a what. They consume planets, people, machines, everything, and once they have taken a world, nothing of it remains." Alex swallowed hard. "So those hunters, they are the devourers' scouts," Cale said. "They find what the swarm will eat next." Alex looked out over the glowing city again. The thought of those black, insect-like machines crawling over this place, ripping apart its bridges, shattering its crystal towers, made his chest tighten. But then Cale's next words made it worse. "They will not stop with Arcanus," he said. "They are already moving toward Earth." Alex stared at him. "What? How? Earth doesn't even know you exist." Lyra's expression didn't change. "They didn't know about us either, until your father made contact." Alex blinked. "My father?" Cale nodded. "He was a scientist, but not only a scientist. He was a messenger, a bridge between our worlds. He worked with us to prepare for this day. And before he died, he hid something. Something the devourers want." Alex's heart was pounding now. "What does that have to do with me?" Lyra stepped closer, her silver eyes locking onto his. "You have it," she said simply. "And you don't even know what it is." Before Alex could respond, a low, mournful sound rolled through the air. It wasn't from the hunters. It was deeper, older. The towers around them began to pulse with light. The floating ribbons in the sky shifted direction, streaming away from the outer edges of the city. "What's happening?" Alex asked. Cale's jaw tightened. "They know the hunters are here." Lyra's voice grew urgent. "Then we have no more time for questions. You must come with us to the high spire. It is the only place left that can protect you from the swarm. Alex glanced back at the bridge they had crossed. Far away, faint red glows were moving again. The hunters weren't finished. They were coming. Lyra extended her hand toward him. Alex, she said, what happens next will decide the fate of two worlds. Alex stared at her hand. The city around him shimmered in the light of two suns. And somewhere out there, beyond even the stars, something was moving closer, something that devoured planets. The truth, Alex didn't take Lyra's hand right away. He just stood there, the alien skyline stretching behind her, two suns casting strange shadows across the platform. The words "your father made contact" kept echoing in his head. My father's dead, he said finally, his voice tight. He died when I was 12. In a car accident. Lyra's gaze didn't soften. Yes, she said, but not before he left something behind. Cale stepped forward, holding out a small silver disc no bigger than a coin. Its surface shimmered like water. This is from our archives, he said. The moment Cale touched it, the disc projected a thin beam of light into the air. And there, standing in the middle of the platform, was Alex's father, not a photograph, not a ghost, a perfect three-dimensional image. He was younger here, maybe in his 30s, wearing a jacket Alex had never seen before. He smiled, not at Cale or Lyra, but directly at Alex. If you're seeing this, the image said, then the Devourers have reached Arcanus. Alex's breath caught. He stepped forward without meaning to. The image continued. Alex, I'm sorry I never told you, but my work, the real work, wasn't for the university. It was for them. He gestured faintly toward the twins. I helped build a key, something that could stop the swarm, but it could never be kept here. It had to be hidden somewhere they would not search for centuries. I hid it in the one place they would never think to look. With you. The image flickered for a moment. You've had it your whole life, Alex. The compass I gave you when you were a boy. It's not a compass. It's the lock to a weapon older than both our worlds, and you are the only one who can open it. The light projection dimmed, and then the image was gone. Alex stood frozen, his mind spinning. The old brass compass, it was still in his apartment, in a drawer by his bed. He had carried it for years after his father's death, thinking it was nothing but a sentimental gift, and now it was the reason these alien hunters were chasing him. Cale's voice broke the silence. They will burn every city on your planet to find it, he said, and if they get it, nothing will stop them. Lyra stepped closer. That is why we came, Alex, not just to save you, but to save both our worlds. Alex turned to her. And what if I refuse? What if I just give it to you and let you deal with it? Cale's jaw tightened. Because it will not work without you. Alex stared at him. What? The key was made to answer only to your blood, Lyra said quietly. Your father made sure of that. He didn't trust anyone else, not even us, to use it. Before Alex could speak, the air around them shifted. A deep, vibrating hum rolled through the platform. From the far edges of the city, thin black shapes were rising into the sky, hundreds of them, their glowing red eyes turning toward the high spire. Cale's voice was low. They're here, across the bridges and crystal streets. Towers began to glow brighter, not from sunlight, but from power building within. Defensive shields started to rise like transparent walls between the spires. Still, the swarm was closing in fast. Lyra's eyes locked on Alex. You can decide later if you believe all of this, but right now, we have to get to the spire before they do. From somewhere deep in the city, a loud, sharp crack split the air. Alex turned toward the sound just in time to see one of the outer towers collapse in a shower of crystal shards. The swarm had breached the outer defenses. Cale reached for his staff. We move now, he said, his voice like steel. Or there won't be a city left to explain anything to you. Alex looked once more at the place where his father's image had stood. Then he nodded. Fine, he said. Lead the way. The decision, the moment Alex said, lead the way, Kale was already moving. The three of them ran across the glowing platform toward a narrow bridge that connected to the high spire. Above, the two suns were partly hidden now by the dark swarm. Pouring in from the city's edge, it was like watching a living shadow stretch across the sky. The bridge swayed under their feet. Alex tried not to look down. The drop below was endless. Streams of light from fleeing airships cut through the air around them. Some were moving away from the city, others toward it, carrying soldiers in. Silver armor, halfway across, a hunter dropped from above, slamming into the bridge in front of them. The impact shook the structure so hard, Alex almost fell. The hunter's red sensor locked on him instantly. It screeched, a sound like tearing metal mixed with something alive. Kale didn't hesitate. He slammed his staff against the bridge, sending a burst of blue energy forward. The hunter staggered, but didn't fall. Its limbs dug into the crystal, dragging it closer. "Run!" Kale barked, holding his ground. Lyra grabbed Alex's arm and pulled him past Kale. Alex glanced back. Kale swung the staff in a wide arc, knocking the hunter sideways off the bridge. It tumbled into the glowing void below, but already another black shape was leaping down from the air above. They reached the spire's entrance, a tall triangular archway glowing with runes Alex couldn't read. Inside was a vast chamber, the walls alive with streams of light flowing upward like rivers. In reverse, the air was warmer here, but heavy, like the room itself was holding back an ocean. Lyra led him to a raised platform in the center. "This is the heart of the spire," she said quickly. "It can protect you from the swarm for a short time, but it cannot hide you forever. You must decide now. Do you run, or do you fight?" Alex stared at her. "How is that even a choice? I'm not a soldier. I don't know how to fight things like that." Kale strode into the chamber, sealing the archway with a wave of his staff. A thin energy field shimmered across the entrance. "It's not about knowing how to fight," he said. "It's about deciding what your life is worth, and what your father died for." The swarm's hum was louder now. Through the walls of the spire, Alex could see dark shapes moving in. The sky outside, hunters were climbing the sides of nearby towers. Red eyes burning brighter, Lyra stepped closer. "If you run, we can take you to a hidden place. You might live there for years, maybe even decades, but Earth will burn, Arcanus will fall, and you will be the man who could have stopped it, but didn't." Alex's hands clenched into fists. He looked down at the glowing floor beneath his feet. He thought of his father's voice, the hologram telling him the truth. He thought of the compass sitting in his bedroom drawer. And he thought of those red-eyed machines walking through the streets of his own city, hunting the people he knew outside. A loud explosion rattled the chamber. A section of the skyline collapsed in the distance, sending shards of crystal raining into the streets. Screams echoed faintly through the walls. Alex lifted his head. His voice was steady now. "If they're coming for Earth, then I'm not running." Kale's eyes narrowed, but there was the faintest trace of approval in his voice. "Then we move to the next phase," he said, gripping his staff. Lyra turned to the platform controls. Streams of light began to spiral upward, wrapping around Alex like a slow-moving storm. "You'll have to leave tonight," she said. "There will be no way back here until the battle is over." The spire's walls trembled. The swarm was closing in, one of the runed panels cracked under the strain, sending a flicker through the energy shield. Kale's voice cut through the rising noise. "Once we send you, the fight begins for both worlds." A hunter's blade-like arm punched through the spire's sealed entrance, sparks flying as it tore at the energy barrier. The sound was deafening. The second strike made the shield shatter. Like glass, Alex looked at the jagged hole. He could see dozens of glowing red eyes in the darkness beyond, all of them fixed on him. The platform under his feet lit up, a blinding light wrapping around his body. He felt the pull, the same strange sensation from the breach before, but stronger. Lyra's voice was the last thing he heard before everything went white. "Do not fail, Alex," she said. The fate of both our worlds is in your hands. And then he was gone.